1,672.
47. Holder said 48, didn't he?
That's what they
He's
were guessing.
he's getting
They may
close.
We'll still sell him.
We may need to limit the sales, so he won't be right. Go ahead. How are you?
Nice one.
Thank you. I guess we're rolling. We're coaches and players and media always obviously enjoying a day off on Labor Day. So we are glad to get the first win behind us. Our post-game conference, media conference, is pretty accurate in that we performed well on defense and ran to the ball and made tackles and played pretty well in space. Offensively, our key players made enough plays. Our special teams was good once we corrected a couple coverage issues. Quinn kicked the ball well, and it was a good win for us. You never really know what to expect. In the first game, we had a pretty good idea of what we should accomplish, and so I was pleased. And the short week makes things happen a lot faster for us. We obviously went out and practiced longer last night than we are accustomed to, and then we'll have a full practice tonight, and we'll be very light tomorrow. We'll have to play well. This is a good football team we're playing. They've got experience at the key positions. In my opinion, when you play on the road, they have experienced quarterback, skill guys that have made plays and have a chance to play beyond this level. Defensively, they're very similar to what we've seen. Obviously, we're used to them from preparing in the bowl, but playing some man coverage on third downs and challenging and getting up in your face and bring some pressure and see if you can defeat man coverage with your skill guys and make plays. We're healthy as a football team, and we're in good shape now. We just need to go out and have a good week of practice and get the guys ready to play hard on Thursday night.
What's the biggest challenge Ball presents to your defense?
You said Arizona's offense?
Yeah, Ball specifically as quarterback, what's his biggest attributes of the challenge?
Well, experience is one. He's played in a lot of games, and so anytime you compete against a quarterback that's got a number of games of experience, you're always concerned about that. But he throws the ball well. He's been accurate and throws the deep ball well. He's got nice touch and lays it up and lets him go get it.
Did you see anything in the Northern Arizona tape that you didn't see in the bowl game?
There's not a lot of difference, X's and O's wise. Offensively, I see them as going back to more of what they originally started with. It looked like to me they went through a little bit of a transition in the last couple of years, and I think they've gone back to what maybe that original plan was. Other than that, it was very similar.
Coach, this past Saturday, the Cowboys threw for more yards than any school in the nation. Did you guys expect to throw that much?
Well, our style of play, from a run-pass standpoint, is based on how the defense approaches us. And you guys follow it really close. We're not a heavy tight-end wing set. So if they really wanted to, they could force us into a lot of passes and run based on what they give us.
Right.
And so it's hard to predict how many pass attempts or run attempts that we'll get going into a game. And so we were fortunate that we were able to throw it around and make some plays. We've got a number of guys that can go get the ball. And one of the discussions I had with the team was we are very fortunate now that we have a number of guys that didn't even show up really in statistics that are pretty good football players that have had a good camp. And so because of that, we should be able to throw the ball around pretty good. And I've talked about some of those guys. Obviously, Tracy Moore had a big game, and I don't know that everybody would have predicted that, but he's practiced well in August, and Isaiah practiced well in August. Hubert's maybe had his best camp ever. Jeremy had 23 yards rushing, I think. So We have the capability to do either, I hope. We just have to continue to put the right plan together and play fast and spread it around.
What worries you the most about the quick turnaround?
Well, with our group, we really just want to get them focused on a simple game plan, and we want them to go play hard. I would say that most coaches, on a quick turnaround, you worry about fatigue of your players and whether they're going to be ready to make that turnaround and play with a lot of energy. I would hope that our preseason plan is going to allow us to do that.
Coach, is there any concern about routine? Because if you go on the road for one of these Thursday games, you're on the road, you're in a hotel that seems somewhat normal. When you're at home, it's not like a Saturday. There's class and things of that nature. Does that at all concern you, just that it's a Thursday game and the change of routine and so forth, or no?
The change in routine concerns us as coaches and players because everything becomes such a habit during the season. And the most difficult part is what you mentioned, is being in our routine, in our walkthroughs and going to a movie and being in the hotel and then coming over for walkthroughs, and it's a class. There's class going on. There's students walking back and forth. It's kind of distracting. I see Sam over there nodding. He understands. You're in a routine that you go to a walkthrough and then you go back to the hotel and you watch ball games all day. Now there's no ball games on, so some of our guys watch the History Channel. Some of them watch SpongeBob. So there's a real contrast in what they actually can do during the afternoon. But we've done it before, Dave. We were here last year, and then I guess 2 years ago was Colorado. And so I hope the maturity of our team comes forth and they understand the importance of staying focused on playing in the game that night.
With all that said, like the last now 3 years in a row that you've done the Thursday game, it seems like you and Mike Holder and everyone have kind of embraced that Thursday night ESPN type game. Just what are the benefits that you see of doing the weeknight national TV type game?
The discussions that we've had over the past 4 or 5 years are in building our program and trying to create some tradition and national recognition is free marketing. And being the only show on Thursday night, there's a lot of viewers out there. And it's not only for our football team, but it's for our university. And when that logo's on the screen for 3 hours and the opportunities that gives us to market Oklahoma State University and our football team, we think is an advantage. There are some cons, obviously, the vendors and people in the community, and we have a large number of people that drive from probably an hour away. And so we weigh both options, and we just feel like where we're at right now with our football program and what we're trying to do over the long haul, that it's advantageous for us. We make a little money at it, pay some bills. So we've had those discussions, and we've come to the agreement that if the situation's right, then it's probably a good setup for Oklahoma State University.
From a player standpoint, I have to imagine they also got to be excited for different reasons to play a national spotlight game. Do you get that kind of sense from talking with guys?
I think they enjoy playing on a Thursday night game. Once they get into a season, they don't really talk a lot about it, but in the off season, you do hear some of those talks.
Quintrell got 19 points Saturday. How do you think he is doing, approaching the mental aspect of doing all 3 phases of the kicking game?
Up to this point, he's doing very well. And now it's early, and I would like to think that his experience and maturity would help in those 3 areas. Joe DeForest and Rob Glass have come up with a plan to keep him physically rested and in good shape for the long haul. And we feel like we have what we need in place for him to go through this thing for 3 months. And it's a little different than what we've done in the past. For example, he didn't participate last night. He took the day off. And so we'll work through that. And as you know, it's not only physically with kickers and punters, but mentally. And so up to this point, he's done very well, and I would think that he'll stay that way for the remainder of the season.
Now, when you say take the day off, does he not even show up? Does he come stand around? What does he do?
He didn't go through any of the physical part of what a kicker or punter would do, or on a much limited basis, I should say. He was with us, but didn't go through that aspect of it.
maybe it's not that much different than when you play a conference team every year. So when you're playing a team for the second time in 3 games, do you find yourself trying to do what worked the last time, or you have to throw new stuff at them, or how do you balance that out?
I would say that you try to correct the mistakes from the last game and build on the positives, and then take into account that their coaches get a chance to draw new plays, and they're looking at it from the same angles that we are. My personal opinion is ultimately that here's the base of what you do on offense, defense, and special teams, and if you continue to get better at that, then in the long haul you'll have success. So we'll concentrate on what we do and play into our strengths.
Defensively, has Mike Gundy changed much from when he was at OU?
Some, not a lot, and again, it's speculation, obviously, but they play things a little different based on what they may feel like their talent level is compared to any level of football. You should try to play to your strengths, as I mentioned, but also try not to put yourself in a situation that your guys can't perform based on the scheme. And so, in my opinion, his overall philosophy is the same. He would like to play aggressive. He's always going to get an extra guy in there on the run. You can be in no backs, 1 back, 2 back. He's going to fit an extra guy in on the backside and play the ball across and try to cut it back to an unblocked player. And then he likes to play man on 3rd downs and zone pressure. So there are a lot of similarities of what they've done, but maybe not out of the box as much as when he was at Oklahoma.
You know him very well?
I know him just about like I know other coaches that, I have what I would think is a good relationship with him when I see him at conventions and when I was with him at the bowl game. And I have a lot of respect for him and that family and what they and how they coach football, but I don't really know anybody that well other than people here and at home. So
Now that you've had a chance to see it on film, what do you think of the New Jersey combo?
I thought they looked pretty good. That's a little bit over my head, but whoever picked them out, I thought they did a nice job. I think our equipment staff matched up the white helmet with the white pants and thought we were coordinated and looked good. It looks good when they're running down the field with the ball in their hands, and it doesn't look good if the other team's running down with the ball in their hands. So,
Mike, you've got so many talented receivers coming out of the zoo here. Does it almost make you jealous, if you weren't benefiting as a coach, make you jealous of Brandon Whedon having so many guys out there that are just so talented?
well, since I'm here to enjoy it, no. But I am jealous that he's 6'3.5" and can throw it farther than I can. Because if I was that tall and could throw it like that, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. But we are very fortunate that we have a number of guys that are experienced and can make plays and that we trust. And it should be an advantage for us to just roll those guys in and play as fast as possible. And their concept, our concept, has to be, it could be Blackman or Tracy or Coop or Chelf or Hugh or Harrison. One guy may have 10 catches one week and only 2 the next. And they have to keep the team philosophy in mind and just realize that's the way it is. Blackman had, I think, 8 for 144 or something and no touchdowns. And he was okay with that. He could have had 12 for 200 and 2 touchdowns if we just really wanted to press an individual statistic. And so they understand that that's not our concept and that's not what we're all about. And they need to keep practicing and put themselves in a situation when the team does good, everybody's going to do good.
Whedon left his helmet on the sideline 2 years ago in that Colorado game on Thursday night.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, you never did anything like that.
I don't remember doing anything like that. Where did he go?
Went in the locker room and Rob Matthews told him he was going to start that second half.
Oh, so he left it out here to go into, yeah, I mean, it's pretty smart. No reason to carry it all the way in if you're not going to use it. Probably a pretty smart move on his part. That's the first time I ever heard of that, but I'm usually the last to hear about things that happen around here. It's like Harrison's eligibility last Friday. Everybody knew except me, and then when I found out, it was a nice surprise.
Weren't you missing your mouthpiece or something when Pat told you you were going in against Houston?
Dave, I never used one. in 4 years.
Maybe you didn't have your pants zipped up.
I didn't have pads.
Oh, that's right.
Right. I didn't have pads. I just was wearing. See, I was ahead of my time. I was actually modeling for Nike for 2011, and so I had pants with no pads and didn't have my shoulder pads hooked. But I never used a mouthpiece in 4 years. I never wore one, so I didn't have to worry about that. I was concerned about it getting germs and putting it back in my mouth.
Coach, at the Big 12 conference call today, I mentioned the coaches were saying that they had mentioned the possibility of the Big 12 realignment to their players. Have you talked to our players at all?
I haven't. I get very little information on that. Coach Holder will come by and give me updates if he feels like that he has something that's somewhat concrete and it's worth discussion. We haven't had any talks with our team because I think they understand, like me, I'm not sure that they can actually do anything about it one way or the other. And fortunately, they try not to concern themselves with things they can't control. And so if you told me something new happened today, I wouldn't know it until you told me. But I would hope that our league could somehow stay together and survive. I guess it doesn't look like that is going to happen, but or maybe somebody could come in, because I like the Big 12. I like this part of the country. I like the recruiting aspects of it, and I'm not afraid to say that. I like the rivalries that we have in this league, going north and south. I think it's good for college football. I think it's good for the geography of the television and everything that's involved. But no, we don't have any discussions about the future of the league.
Coach, do you feel like it's a distraction at all to the players about the conference realignment?
I really don't. My personal opinion is it could be a distraction for young men being recruited. And at some point, I would only hope, and I'm probably overstepping my boundaries here. I know Kevin just bites his cheek when I'm up here at the stand, but I would only hope that the gentlemen or ladies or whoever's making the decisions in this take into account the current team members in this league that are playing in the Big 12, that came to a school to play in the Big 12, and the ones that are being recruited that think they're going to play in the Big 12, and not just a way to make more money, and take into account the kids, because ultimately this is who we're supposed to be supporting. So for whatever that's worth, that's my opinion.
I guess if you're going to be playing Arizona this often, you might as well play them in conference. Right?
Might as well be playing. I mean, we may go 1-2. We may be playing them 4 or 5 years in a row now, I guess, is what you hear. So we'll be able to keep all the scouting reports and study up each year. So
Colton Chelk got some snaps. Talk about his progress.
I thought he played pretty well.
Clint Chelk.
I thought he played pretty well also. He was, 4-4 for 66 yards and a touch.
Yeah.
So he may want to quit now while he's ahead. But he's worked very hard. He's got a ways to go, but he has a good attitude. He's developed. He's improved considerably. And I'm much, much more comfortable with him now than I was. And so he needs to continue to get the work. And the difficult part of playing quarterback is you really don't get any experience until you go play, until you go make mistakes. It's just like the linemen that played in the game for us, the young kids, Castleman, and we didn't have to play any young offensive linemen, but until you get in there and you get ear-holed 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 times during the year, and you get cut, and then you realize there's a lot going on, you don't really understand. And so he'll have to go through some of that, very similar to what Brandon Whedon did, and Zach Robinson, and Mike Gundy, and everybody else that's played. So I like where he's at right now, and I like his attitude.
Coach, last year the freshman class played a lot, and you guys had so many freshmen that produced very well. Do you feel like this year's class, is there any way we see close to the production from the freshman class we saw last year?
My honest answer at this time would be no, because we have more depth above them.
Sure.
And so if you're a freshman and you're on the field and you're competing as a backup, then that means at some point during the season we think that you're going to be physically and mentally far enough along to help us from games 6 through 12, 13, whatever it may be. If if you're a skill guy, you got a much better chance of that happening. So we're going to play some of those guys for that reason, because of special teams and where we need a backup. The other guys, they won't play. Ultimately, we should put all this to rest and have 5 years of eligibility. And what that would create is fewer injuries, because you would allow more guys to play a role in games, which would give some of the other veteran players a break, so they don't have to play as many snaps. And then you get into October and November and guys start getting injured because their bodies are fatigued. And that would be a really, really good thing for college football because of the number of plays and the contact that's involved in the game nowadays. But to answer your question, I don't know that we have freshmen that are going to be able to be as productive from a statistic standpoint just based on the overall depth that we have on our football team, not based on their talent. I'm not so sure, and I'll know more probably in 2 months. This may not be the best freshman class we've ever brought in here from top to bottom, and some of them may not even show up this year.
Coach, I hate to go really off topic on you, but 10 years ago, post 9/11, there was no football that weekend. Wonder how you spent that weekend and just what your recollections are.
Last night when I got home, some of you guys probably like me, stay up late and watch TV so you can get ready to go to bed. 10:40ish until 11, and you could flip through the channels. You know, I watch Animal Planet and History Channel. It's pretty good stuff you can watch. And they had all the 9/11 stuff on, the stories and what. And last night my wife was in there trying to clean the kitchen and everything before the boys went to bed. And I said, you need to just watch this, and you forget what was going on. You forget how traumatic it was. I still remember sitting in here in this building and watching tape, and then somebody opened the door, and Les and I were arguing over a power play or a counter, whether we could get Sam to block back or not. But anyway, and then they said you need to put it on the screen, and there was already on fire, and then the next one came through, just like we all vividly remember it. And then we were going to practice that day, and then at some point somebody said, you guys, you cannot practice. So we canceled practice. And then there were a number of teams, who were going to play and not play, and I don't remember the exact number. I think, did they cancel everybody?
All the major colleges.
Okay, but I think there was a few teams that played, right? Maybe some smaller schools. So, but I remember it that week, and then we took one day off, and then we had the players back over, and we started practicing just after that next day. And but it had an effect on all of us, no question, coaches, and it even affected the players as young as they were. And it was an unusual week. And then I think our next game was at A&M, and they had red, white, and blue in the stands, and it was just unusual. It was one of the few times that something affected college football that really changed the way people thought, and weren't necessarily as concerned about that as they were what was going on in New York City.
Like 2 years ago, even when Kendall was out, you were able to go on the road and win games with your ground game, like at A&M with Towston. Do you think with the personnel you have here now and with Joseph Randall, could you go win a game like that if you had to?
On the ground? Well, I don't know that we're set up that way right now. We're obviously a more balanced attack, leaning more toward the throw than we were with when Keith was here. But I would like to think that we're far enough along with Joe Randall in our system to win on the road. Not necessarily whether we're just going to hand it off and pound it like we did with Keith.
Have you modified your short week preparation in any way? Learned anything from last couple of years?
Yes. We don't try to get as much out of the week as we originally thought we should have. And our staff thinks we've learned that they only have so much in them per week, and if you wanted to play fast on Saturday, which would be a Thursday, and play with a lot of energy, then you only have so many reps that you can allow them prior to that game. And their recovery time is shorter than it would be. And so what we've learned is we don't try to get too much out of the week.
But you got NFL games start this week. Do you kind of keep track of some of your former players and how they're doing in the pros?
I get updates on how they're doing and guys that made the team and guys that made the practice squad because I'm interested in following those guys. And we do use those players as an example to our team. Ori Lemon came to our practice last night, and I walked down to go to the team meeting. He was standing there, and he made the practice team in Dallas and was very excited. And so he came in with us to the team meeting, and the players saw him, and we introduced him, and they congratulated him. And so those things are really fun. Now, I don't watch any NFL, very, very little, but we get an update from our staff, and then we have a full-time web guy now that he'll take all that information and put it on CoachGundy.com and kind of keeps us abreast of what's happening with our former players.
Coach, when you broke down the tape from Saturday's game, what was the biggest negative?
Well, we gave them too many points. We gave them we had a decision-making issue between quarterback and receiver on a touchdown that got returned, or an interception that got returned for a touch. And then we had a busted route on one interception, and then we had a poor decision by the quarterback on another one returned for a touchdown. And so those are situations you certainly have to avoid in order to win against teams that are going to be somewhat near as good or better than you.
Was one of the bigger positives that Harrison catch and him flipping out and doing that crazy acrobatic stuff on the touchdown catch? I went back and watched tape.
The acrobatic, you talking about during the catch?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant he did something afterwards. I didn't see it. I was going to run him after practice today. I thought he did like a backflip or something. I didn't understand. But that was a nice catch. Mike's got some ability, and Mike's turning the corner mentally. From a toughness standpoint, is really showing signs of a guy that can factor in and help us. Mike's big. Mike's 215 pounds or so, and can really get up there and make plays. So he's by far, or has got a long ways to go to being a finished product, but he's certainly getting better.
Like every one of these weeknight games you've played as the head guy, it's been a little weird, I have to say. You just keep agreeing to play in these games. Do you remember how many you played this as be your fifth? Florida Atlantic was a weird game.
That was weird because when we snapped the ball, they rolled back most of the time. That's how bad we were. We couldn't even get it to the quarterback in the air. There was how many?
About 100.
I don't think there was that many. You must have hung around and watched the cleanup crew because I don't think there's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even think there was 100. Yeah, I'm with you. And it was dirt. We were playing on dirt. Yeah. Troy, we had a lightning delay for an hour and a half or something. Yeah. Hoping this will be a little cleaner.
Yeah, you haven't had really a routine kind of ball game on.
Right. That'll make me sleep good this week, Bill. That'll help me sleep good the next few nights.
Anything else?
Good? All right, thanks.